What is a rivalry? A contest, a competition where the stakes are higher. What does it mean to those involved?
It's just two teams that hate each other that they're trying to beat the crap out of each other.
To me, he's always going to be a Ram, and I'm always going to be a Buff.
It's a game that I hate. I just hate the game.
If you bleed green, you bleed green. There's no middle ground.
Is CSU a rival? Yeah, they're a rival.
Didn't like them at all, whatsoever.
Everybody's little brother is a rival.
I'm gonna have a sick feeling in my stomach.
Our beloved little brothers.
And they looked at us as like we're the little sister on the block, not even a little brother.
CU didn't take CSU very seriously.
We couldn't stand them because they just clearly overlooked us.
I'm black and gold to the day I die. It's in my blood.
It's become such a hard-nosed rivalry.
Their heart would start beating real fast when you said Nebraska. And when you said CSU, it probably wouldn't change much.
Everything was so one-sided, and everybody loved the Buffaloes.
Not until maybe 3 or 4 years ago did that R word come out of my mouth.
So, how did this rivalry begin? The Colorado-Colorado State rivalry really began in 1893 when Colorado A&M and Fort Collins formed the Aggies football team. They looked to their neighbors in Boulder at the University of Colorado, who had 3 years of football under their belts.
University of Colorado absolutely pounded the Colorado Agricultural College 70-6. They stopped counting at 70 because they had better things to do.
The Buffaloes hadn't lost a game throughout the 1908 through 1911 seasons. In 1912, however, the Aggies broke that streak with their first ever win over the Buffs. This is when the rivalry truly was born. In the early 1920s, the two teams were competing for more than just bragging rights. Both schools were in the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference, and championships were on the line.
From 1925 to 1934 is where now it's not just a rivalry. Now each game that CU and the Aggies play, they have a lot of meaning for the championship.
In that stretch, the Aggies from Colorado A&M had a 6-3 record against Colorado.
1934, the Aggies lose to CU, and because of that loss to CU, it's a 3-way tie again, and that's the only time that CU and CSU have ever shared a conference championship together.
From 1935 to 1957, Colorado had their way with Colorado A&M, with an impressive 18-3 record. Then in 1958, CU head coach Dal Ward decided they would no longer compete against a small school like Colorado A&M. The final game would be played that year in Boulder, a game in which the Aggies won 15-14.
Just to beat CU for that last game that was supposed to be the last game ever, very, very much to the point where, throwing it back in their face. They still wanted to play CU throughout the years, but that was the last bastion of we beat them for the last game.
But a rivalry this great wouldn't be lost forever. In the early 1980s, the state legislature began to threaten the two institutions. If they did not schedule a game against each other, the state would.
Politically, you never want the state legislature or the government setting your agenda and doing your scheduling for you.
This legislator from Fort Collins was going to put into the Colorado legislation that the two schools had to play one another.
I drove to Del Camino, right outside Longmont, to a fast food restaurant, and he instructed me to sit over there and don't make any noise, and a counterpart of mine from Colorado did the same thing with Eddie, and they sat in a booth and really hammered it out.
After a 25-year hiatus, the rivalry was reborn in 1983. Colorado won the game 31-3.
And the 1983 game really wasn't a lot to as far as a great game, but it was great to see the rivalry come back. People flocked to Folsom Field to go to this game.
In '86, CSU came into to Boulder and won the game. And I think that was maybe the highlight of Leon Fuller's coaching career.
CSU quarterback Kelly Stauffer and running back Steve Bartello led the Rams to their first victory over the Buffs since 1958. The score, 23-7.
Not only does CSU beat them, but they just completely dominated them. It was a very, very quiet Folsom Field crowd.
I think we fumbled 6 times. In fact, I didn't even go home that night. I stayed up at the office and looked at the film and got sick.
And I don't think CU saw it as a rivalry. I think CU saw it as just a game.
In order for it to be a rivalry, you have to have it an even competitive series. And that still had not been the case. So I think it was CU still overlooking CSU.
You could hardly call it a rivalry from 1987 to 1997. CU played CSU 7 times, outscoring them 259 to 145. Colorado won the national championship in 1990, and in 1993, Sonny Lubick took over the Rams, redefining the program. The rivalry became much more intense, and in 1998, the game was taken a step further.
This game is becoming so big, and both schools are vying for their conference championships, that they decided, let's bring this thing away from the college campus. Let's bring it into Denver.
We had a tremendous crowd for that game, and Rick came up to me and said, man, we sure started something here.
The neutral site is good because it gives a chance to have equal amount of fans, so where you don't come into the stadium, it's, you know, the home crowd.
The playing a stadium that holds 60 to 70,000 was just exciting.
There is no advantage when you go to Mile High. It's a pretty neutral place, but it gives fans, it gives both schools a chance to have 30,000, 35,000 fans there.
After defeating the Spartans of Michigan State on the road, Colorado State was ranked 13th in the nation.
That was the best chance I feel like we had. You know, we just now beat Michigan State. They were ranked 16.
We started to get some love from the people in Colorado, saying we had a loaded team.
We was feeling real good about our chances coming into CU. Like, we feel like we was the team that was the favorite going into the game.
Our hopes were high, our emotions were high. It's about 70,000, 80,000 people, everybody screaming, playing in Bronco Stadium. Felt like the Super Bowl of Colorado.
Nerves aren't settled until you get that first hit.
And they won.
Colorado 42, the Rams 14. I've heard it said, Colorado State's going to win the game because they're the better team. 42-14.
Coming up, Colorado State gets the monkey off its back. One CSU Ram amps up this college football rivalry. And the game gets decided in the fourth quarter 2 years in a row. You're watching Rivalries, the Rocky Mountain Showdown. $76,000 fans watched Colorado beat Colorado State in 1998, making it 13 years since the Rams had won in this rivalry. This time, Colorado was ranked 14th in the nation.
We get to the stadium around the same time they do, and we had the visiting locker room, and they kind of pulled their bus at a 45-degree angle, so we couldn't get by. And our strength coach, Tony Frederico, at the time, he got up and he told us all to remember what just took place with the whole bus situation, and how looking at it as they don't respect you.
I think we opened up the first series and threw an interception for a touchdown.
Machete takes the quick drop, quick pass, intercepted, 50-yard line, into the 40, into the 30, into the 20, to the 15, the 10, the 5, touchdown, Rick Kroll.
It basically put the whole CU crowd in the crickets.
After that play, everybody just kind of had a collective, we got it. This is our year. This is our team, this is our year, and things are going to be different this year.
We threw another interception on our goal line that resulted in a touchdown. They batted balls around. McDougal ran through us all night.
McDougal, goodbye!
I believe we were up 28-0 at halftime. Kevin McDougal always coming up, Coach, this one's for you, this one's for you. I said, quit saying that, quit saying that. We got a long way to go. They were telling me that at halftime.
I just wanted to reiterate to Sonny, hey, we got this game for you. We're not going to let this slip away.
Starting the third quarter, well, not only did we take up about 7 minutes on one drive, with Kevin McDougal doing most of the work. So we're up 35-0 midway through the third quarter. Only then did I start to breathe a little bit easier.
Colorado State has upset the number 14 team in the country, and they did it convincingly. 41-14 is the final.
And it wasn't just that we beat them. You know, we got the best of them in a good way. And I think the momentum changed.
The monkey on the back got shrugged off the shoulders.
I mean, to get that 13-year monkey off our back.
It definitely was something that had to happen. I mean, that's what, after we won that game, then they didn't overlook us anymore.
I think it really woke up Colorado, too, to the CSU.
Before that, they never really respected us. But after that, that changed the whole way they look at the CU versus CSU game.
The celebration was cut short, however, immediately after the game.
They had Colorado going in to the locker room right under the CSU band. And CSU, of course, was going down in the south end. Crazy. You know, you're just inviting trouble when you do that.
Well, the tear gas came out pretty fast after the game, and I was just trying to get our team back inside, not because of the tear gas, but just because of the humiliation of the loss.
Well, they were afraid because it had been so long since CSU had won that the excitement of the fans being on there, which to this day, I still believe that they should have allowed the fans to go on the field and celebrate with the team.
There is this protection of we don't want to tear up the field, but there's also another perception of we don't want them to hurt themselves getting down on the field.
But I think there was something supposedly sacred that you couldn't step on this field. It's going to ruin it for all time.
The Denver police were holding them back because they didn't want people getting trampled over one another. Is how I read it in the newspaper as far as what their official account was.
I do remember seeing the orange smoke.
I was actually on the field with Susie Wargent doing an after-game interview, and we actually had to run off the field because we were both starting to tear up and cough.
Everybody in the booth, the engineer and all, was affected. And we got cold paper towels and we're putting it over our eyes and our nose to try to breathe.
We had guys that were trapped out there and were actually experiencing some of the tear gas.
Yeah, I understand why they use that stuff now because it works. I mean, it works.
I actually walked out through that area of the stadium with my family after the game and saw all the people had thrown their jackets down and left them and just ran out of there.
In 2000, the Rams beat the Buffs again, 28-24. The following year, CU annihilated CSU 41-14. And in 2002, it was up to BVP, Bradley Van Pelt, as the Rams set out to defeat the 6th-ranked Buffaloes.
Cecil Sapp at the 6, at the 5, still moving at the 3, at the 2, touchdown, Colorado State!
After 2 rushing touchdowns from Cecil Sapp, the Rams had a 13-0 lead entering the fourth quarter. But 5 minutes and 2 touchdowns later, the Buffs took a 1-point lead. The Rams would respond.
Option left side, Van Pelt in a hole. He's at the 15-yard line. Van Pelt at the 15, cuts back at the 10, at the 5. The Bradley rolls into the end zone, and the Rams have regained the lead as they go on top 19-14.
Every CU fan is going to remember when Bradley Van Pelt turned around and threw the ball in the face of the defender, the CU player, and was kind of, we know that we belong in this contest and you're not respecting us.
And when you lose, you lose, and the team that won gets to do whatever they want to do.
Oh, that fired us up. Our sideline went nuts. We all expected there was going to be a penalty, and there wasn't a penalty.
Apparently, we just don't throw flags in the CU-CSU game.
It was truly this cocky Bradley Van Pelt. He was, to me, what truly made this a rivalry.
Not sure that was the right thing to do, but it certainly was fun to watch on tape.
I'm not certain if there was a human alive who I couldn't stand more than Bradley Van Pelt.
I just thought it was pretty funny myself, but it wasn't an accident, I'll guarantee you.
That single thing has kind of become an iconic figure in CSU sports history.
And this is a kid that was able to go out and say, I feel like CU has not given us our due. they don't respect us, and I'm going to change their minds, and he did.
That was Bradley Van Pelt, and he was the guy that Colorado State needed at that time to kind of get that swagger back.
Bradley Van Pelt kind of became a folk hero to CSU supporters.
In the rivalry between CU and CSU, that is probably the one defining moment that everybody's always going to talk about.
Coming up, the rivalry's recent history and the golden foot of Mason Crosby. You're watching Rivalries, the Rocky Mountain Showdown. The 2004 game was tightly contested, and after the dust settled, it came down to 1 yard.
I think we made a mistake in the fourth quarter. CU lined up for a punt, and our defense called our last timeout. And that's when Mason Crosby stepped out onto the field.
I remember hitting a long field goal in that game. I think it was a 55-yarder.
Snap, spotted, booted, the kick is up, it is on its way, it has plenty of distance, and it's good!
Wow!
Holy cow! A 55-yard field goal for Mason Crosby, and the Buffs gain the lead 20-17 over Colorado State.
This was always CSU. They always found a way to drive on us late in the game.
We made a couple great plays to move the ball down the field.
And all of a sudden, David Anderson had like 85 catches in that game. I mean, it was just Holland to David Anderson.
And all I can remember was I'm going to throw it to Dave. And the clock was winding down, and I turn around, thinking that, the coaches are going to be signaling for spiking the ball.
It was Sonny Lubick kind of rolling the dice there. Probably could have kicked the field goal, but wanted to go for the win in the final seconds.
I could sense something wasn't right as far as the communication from the sidelines to the quarterback.
I called the play to the left, but I had set the formation to the right. So when I snapped the ball and I pitched the ball to Tristan around the left edge, they had two guys that were unblocked coming off the edge, and he never really had a chance to make a play. And when he was tackled, the time ran out.
Down to 3, down to 2, pitch, sweeping, near side, Walker is hit and brought down as time expires. The defense comes up big, and Colorado holds off Colorado State to win it 27-24.
I'm like, we just won the football game. I thought it was crazy. I had resigned myself to the fact with 40 seconds left that we were going to lose that football game.
I couldn't believe they ran a little toss sweep right there on the goal line instead of trying to pound it in the middle.
I don't know what happened, but they completely dropped the ball. They should have won that game.
I called a play that I probably should not have called, and our quarterback coach had the better play called, but I overruled him, and we ended up losing that ball game.
We lost it on the 1 yard line.
The next year, the Rams would grind with the Buffs in another close game. After taking a 21-10 halftime lead, CU would score 18 consecutive points to take the lead. Holland would find Sperry to tie the game at 28. But what followed was another nail-biting ending.
Going in with an 11-point lead in the fourth quarter, you just expect to win that game.
The previous year, he went for the touchdown and not the field goal. And this year, so it was like the ghost of the 04 game came back to haunt him.
And the Rams squib kicked it down the field.
And I remember being on the sidelines like, why would we squib the football?
We have Mason Crosby. I mean, the squib kick is the last thing that they should probably do.
Everybody on the sideline was like, here we go again.
That's the danger of that squib kick, is sometimes if it doesn't bounce right and get deep enough, you end up getting decent field positions.
We felt like, even in that game, and probably as pumped up as he was, we could have kicked a 60 or a 65-yard field goal with him.
When we were like about 65 yards out, I was like, it's over. Matter of fact, as soon as they kicked the squib kick, I was like, it's over.
Well, this is what people don't understand. Mason's got a great leg and he can kick 50-yard field goals. Yeah, that's great. I knew as a quarterback, all I had to do was get the football to the 50-yard line and we would attempt a field goal. A 67-yard field, we would attempt that.
Mason used to hit even more ridiculous field goals in practice that nobody knows about, like 75-yarders. Like he used to hit, he could honestly hit a 100-yarder, I would think. I could honestly say that, yes, he could hit a 100-yarder.
And Coach Barnett was asking me what I wanted to throw, and I told him nothing. I don't want to throw anything. What if something bad goes wrong? Look at Mason. He's going to kick the ball 85 yards through the uprights. It's going to be absolutely fine.
I think everybody on our sideline knew that he was going to make that field goal.
Snap, spotted, booted, the kick is up, it is on its way, and it is good! Mason Crosby's done it again, 31-28 with 4 seconds remaining from 47 yards out.
As soon as I hit it, I knew it was in.
Hey, he must have cleared the crossbar by 10, 15 yards.
That kick was probably the smoothest feeling kick I've hit, in a long time.
In 2006, the Buffs got a new head coach in Boise State hero Dan Hawkins.
That was disappointing. It was a change of coaches, different, kind of different mindset going into that one. It had a weird feel to it.
The Rams won 14-10. The 2007 winner would need more than 60 minutes for the first time ever.
Overtime number 1, tied up at 28, Colorado State football. Going right to left, Haney retreats, looking to the end zone, under pressure, now runs to his right, throws in the end zone, and it is picked off by Colorado. Picked off in the end zone.
You can't throw an interception, and Caleb Haney knew that more than anybody else, and when he threw it, your heart just went out for Caleb Haney because essentially he had just lost the game after playing so well.
We were there. We were there. We threw an interception in the end zone that set them up to win the game.
And then clearly when you get a turnover, minimally you got a chance to kick a field goal.
Hey, this is the first game of the year, and Everhart had backed up Mason for all those years.
Kevin Everhart for the win. In overtime number 1, put down, kick is up, it is on its way, and it is good! Colorado bounces back and knocks off Colorado State in the Quest Rocky Mountain Showdown in overtime, 31-28.
2008 was the first game in 6 years that wasn't close.
It was one of those games you walk away from, you don't feel devastated, you don't feel that bad because Colorado was the best team in that game.
And in 2009, the Rams showed up in Boulder, ready to play.
Stucker out of the gun. Super pocket protection. Middle, Mosier, touchdown, Colorado State. And Colorado State has come into Folsom Field and shocked the Buffaloes in the Rocky Mountain Showdown on the Buffaloes' home field.
I think the last Ram win was back in 1986, the last Ram win here at Folsom Field.
CSU fans stormed Folsom Field and kind of danced around and celebrated at midfield, on the CU logo.
Governor Ritter came into our locker room, who's a CSU alum, and that was a special moment.
It just felt good after seeing what happened at Folsom Field earlier in the decade and the 2 last-second losses to get that win against Colorado.
Running out and just jumping up and down, celebrating. It's a pretty sight. For a CSU Ram, it is a very pretty sight.
It was like, this huge victory, and I think it was because they had built it up as, we haven't beaten them in Boulder in so long.
To go back down on their home field in front of their fans and beat them pretty good was certainly a big moment for our football team.
So just what is the state of the rivalry today?
For years I was in denial about the game even being a rivalry. I didn't want to, give Colorado State that kind of credit, but I think Sonny Lubick and that coaching staff and that university did a great job in really elevating the level of football played in Fort Collins. And so to deny the rivalry at this point would be futile.
I think the rivalry is really healthy, and I think the competition, the balance of competition has really helped that rivalry out.
I think Sonny brought CSU on an equal footing with Colorado. There's no question about that.
CSU consistently has shown that they deserve to be on the same playing field, and they have not just won with a trick play or some fluke play. They have hit CU in the mouth, and they have taken it to them.
To make a rivalry, you have to win some. It's not a rivalry if you go up there and lose every week. So now when you say since 98, 97, 98, it's been 6-5, that's a rivalry. It's back and forth. But before that, we was calling it a rivalry, but we was just taking whoopings for a long time. So now I think the game is looked at in a totally different aspect.
Rifles it downfield into corner. Scotty McKnight bobbles, catches, end zone, touchdown, Colorado. That's why he had to get it from Stevens in a hurry to pull it over the middle. McKnight is laid out. Top catch, Elijah Blue Smith. Allen sets, tries to fire to the middle, and it's picked off by Brian Ewers at 37, running up to the 35, has a blocker at the 30, running on the far sideline, 25, 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown, Colorado!
Fakes to McDougal, gets it to Rice, has the first time, goodbye!